Hey READACT Committee, this is Jake Von der Linde, just giving you a quick update of our November 19th meeting. We started off our meeting just with a check-in. We talked about the purpose of our committee, and then we did some MOU focus areas, and then some planning for our next meeting with then closing. These are our check-in ideas and thoughts. Just a reminder of what a MOU is. Our MOUs are often used to establish a commitment to work together in good faith and can be used to document expectations or intentions. And what we are working on is our READACT MOU for our professional development time and compensation. Just a reminder of the purpose of the committee is to develop an MOU for the READACT that describes all of these different areas. So the training programs, which is letters and carry-all, our eligible teachers, our compensation model, our credit recognition, the end date and deadlines, and the proof of completion. So all of these are our different areas that we need to come up with as a part of the committee. The first ones I did cross off because we do have that training program, letters and carry-all. The next part that we worked on today, or on the 19th, was teachers who will be eligible to be a part of the compensation. And then we had a chance to read through some of other districts' MOUs and do a little bit of learning around potential compensation models that we would do as well. So the purpose of the work that we did on the 19th was to review other districts' MOUs, to decide on what is our eligibility, and to learn about funding for Roseville. The eligibility section, the language from the model MOU that we looked at was the eligibility of the union and district will establish a list of eligible teachers who must hold a license issued by the Professional Educator Licensing and Standards Board, or PELSB, be employed by the district, and then we need to decide our starting date and ending dates, and then also be required by the district to complete the approved training described under the Minnesota READ Act. So we talked about also who is eligible potentially to do that and what are our start and end dates. You can see here that we have our groups that we have had go through some of the training. So we have our letters MDE cohort that we talked about last time, the letters 2022 cohort that began letters in that fall of 22, the carry-all group that has started and is working their way through carry-all now in 2024. And we were going to have a letters group of 2024, but we pushed that off by a year, and we will be combining them with the letters 2025 most likely. And then we need to decide where we're going to go next with carry-all. Is that going to start in the fall of 2025 or the fall of 2026? So those are the groups that we need to think about and consider. The complicating factor with some of those different groups is the difference in the professional development that they're involved in, as well as what the MDE cohort did receive some compensation for going through parts of their training, and so that is a consideration that we need to think about. Another big part of our session on the 19th was some time for reading. So what I'd like you to do is make sure that you read through all of these different MOUs from these different districts, or at least like 3 or 4 of them. I think we did 3 or 4. It shouldn't take you too long. And we split up into groups, and we had some of the folks read from the bottom up and some from the top down, just to get a range of different ones. But they are helpful to see. And as we read them, we looked for ideas about eligibility within our own MOU. Then we had some discussion. We didn't get all of our information put down into here, but we did learn a lot from our conversations, and we did have a robust conversation about what we should do next. The thoughts that we had as a group after our conversation was for Brandon and myself to create some eligibility language that we can bring back to the group at our next meeting. So that's what Brandon and I are currently working on, and we'll bring that back to the group after trying to get some of the feedback from the different groups about what this could look like for eligibility, especially with the complications between the difference in the groups, the professional development that they're a part of, and the compensation that they may or may not have received already. We also learned about some of the compensation that we received as a district. So you can see all of these different bullet points share about information about the REDAC compensation that we received as a district. So it's a one-time appropriation that we received in the fiscal year 2025, but it can be reserved and used in future years. We received $36.06 for the prior year's child count, so that's the 2023 fall child count. Also, I think here, the fiscal year UFARS Chapter 10 provides eligible program and object codes. So that's just more information for our business department. Excuse me, all expenses must be included in an approved memorandum of understanding between the district and exclusive representation of teachers. So that's what our work is to continue to work on that memorandum of understanding. And the main uses are to include stipends, hourly rate wages, or reimbursement for eligible trainings. And we found out from Sherry Thompson, our Executive Director of Business Services, that the amount that we have is $293,758 to work with. So planning for our next meeting, which will be December 4th. Our topics for next time, as I said, Brandon and I will be writing a draft of our eligibility section for the MOU, and we'll review that as a group. And then I put down Sherry, but actually Sherry was going to work with HR to have the numbers of teachers who would be eligible for compensation, so we can start looking at what could it be, the amounts that we actually can be working with and find as reasonable, so that we're not overspending the amount that we have of that $239,000 that we're getting from the state. We closed up with a last quote, and the quote was, "What do we live for if not to make the world less difficult for each other?" So hopefully you're having a great day, and we will see you on December 4th. Thanks.